Hey y'all, first I want to say that I am continuing the momentum of my allyship for the Black Lives Matter movement. I have the same resources linked in this description box that I have had, and also I'm updating some of these resources to include things like petitions that still haven't met their goals and some videos from some of my favorite creators on what it's like to be Black on BookTube. Also, I'll have some donation links if you feel that you can donate monetarily, but please keep in mind that there are so many ways that we can support this movement that don't necessarily have to involve giving money. Okay, so today's video is going to be the mid-year freakout tag, and nobody tagged me in this, and thank you to everyone who has tagged me in a few other tags. I'm looking forward to getting to those soon. But when I saw this tag resurfacing at the beginning of June, I knew I wanted to do it as soon as possible because this is actually the tag that allowed me to find BookTube. I don't know how, but around this time last year is when I first started watching BookTube videos, and it was because I saw this tag circulating, and I loved seeing like what everyone's answers were for this. If you hear anything in the background, I just had to turn on my fan. I'm about to go to work and I can't afford to start sweating. So let's just get started with the first question, which is what is the favorite book? Nope, that's not the first question. So number one is, what is the best book that you have read so far in 2020? For me, this is actually the very first book that I read this year, and I'm really worried that nothing's gonna be able to compare to it for the rest of the year. It's Beartown by Frederick Bachman. This is such an important read. This book is about a town that just completely revolves around their junior league hockey team. Then the hockey team is caught up in this controversy in the middle of the book as they're advancing throughout their season, and it just completely rips the town apart. And I think this book is so important in discussing what it means to be a teammate, like from the sports side of things. I love some of these characters and I hate some of these characters. Frederick Bachman does such a great job of really making you feel things for the people that he's writing. But then also, this is so important for women's rights, supporting women, like men and women supporting women, allyship, and standing up for what you believe in. This just packs it all in. So yeah, this is definitely the best book that I've read so far this year. The next question is, what is the best sequel that you have read in 2020? This was a really easy decision for me because I think it's the only sequel I've read this year. It's one of two sequels that I've read this year, but it is Wayward Son by Rainbow Rowell. I know that this book did not receive as much love as Carry On did, which is the first book in this series, but I really liked Wayward Son. Did I give it 5 stars? No, but I did give it 4 stars, and I think that a lot of people's problem with this book is that Simon and Baz had a little bit of a tough time working through some things, but in my opinion, that kind of just made their relationship seem more realistic. And yeah, I'm really excited to continue with this series as Rowell continues to write it. Number 3 is, what is a new release that you're excited to read but haven't gotten to yet? For me, this is Home Before Dark by Riley Sager. Riley Sager is one of the few authors that in my mind is just an automatic buy, and I have read Lock Every Door and Final Girls by Sager. I have not gotten to The Last Time I Lied yet, but I'm hoping to this summer. I think that the official release date for Home Before Dark is later this month in June, so I don't have access to it yet, but I do know that a lot of people have chosen it for their book of the month pick, and I'm getting so jealous that people are out there reading this book and I'm not. I think this one's gonna feature a haunted house, and I loved in Lock Every Door how you didn't know if something was going on in an apartment building that was paranormal or something that was just realistic but also terrifying. So it sounds like Home Before Dark might have the same feel going on, but I think it might be ghosty. I don't know yet. I'm excited to get to it. The next question is, what is your most anticipated release for the second half of 2020? I'm kind of cheating with this one because the book I have in mind actually comes out on June 30th of this year, which isn't quite the second half, but it is the first thing that came to mind. And it is Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno Garcia. And this is another one that I think is going to have that haunted house feel. It is about a woman who has to travel to the Mexican countryside to help out some of her family that she thinks is in trouble. And once she gets there, there is a grand, creepy house, and I love things like that. So that's all I know about it so far, but I absolutely love the cover, and I might even pre-order it. That's how excited I am about this. Question number 5 is, what has been your biggest disappointment so far? This is another easy one. It's definitely The Sundown Motel by Simone St. James. I have not finished this book yet. I haven't DNF'd it, but I have put it down for now. I'm about halfway through. I'm almost halfway through with it. And I don't think that this would be as disappointing to me if this had not been my most highly anticipated read for 2020. The story has two timelines and two different perspectives. So the first is from Viv from the early 1980s, who goes to work at this night shift for a hotel, and then while she's working, she goes missing. And then the second perspective is in the present day with her niece, with Viv's niece, Carly. Carly is really interested in true crime and wants to solve what happened to her aunt all these years ago. So she travels to the Sundown Motel, which is where her aunt worked, and then coincidentally gets this same night clerk position that her aunt had. And for me, I think it was disappointing just because these two characters seemed very similar and I was getting confused. I didn't really confuse the characters themselves, like those two main characters, but I was starting to confuse who was in which timeline. So I am going to keep going with it, but it has disappointed me just a little bit so far. Hate to say it, but it has. The next question is, what has been your biggest surprise so far this year? And without a doubt, it's Big Little Lies by Leanne Moriarty. Oh my gosh, I did not know I was going to love this book so much. I think because the TV show just got so much hype, and not that the book hasn't, but the TV show, it just has seemed like it's been pushed in my face for so long that I thought there's no way that this can live up to that. Well, to me, it definitely did. This is just a straight up domestic thriller. It's about women within a community, kind of how they form relationships with one another and with their own families. There's a murder mystery. Oh, it's just so good. Try this one if you think it sounds good, but then you're kind of worried. I think you should go for it. I really enjoyed it this year. Question number 7 is your favorite new author. This can be either a debut author or just an author who is new to you. I'm gonna go with Taylor Jenkins Reid, who definitely is not a new author, but this year I have read The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo and Daisy Jones and the Six, and I gave both of those 5 stars. I know that a lot of people think that Taylor Jenkins Reid is overhyped. I don't. I really enjoy her writing and her stories, and I don't think she's quite up to the level of like automatic buy, but she's someone where really for any point in the future moving forward, when she releases something, I'm gonna check it out at least. Question number 8 is, who is your fictional crush, like your newest fictional crush? I didn't have anyone jump right out at me because I don't know, I just didn't, but all I can think of is Josh from The Hating Game. Super cute book about these co-workers who are competing for the same promotion. It's hate to love romance, really, really cute. One of my favorite romances so far this year. The next question was really, really hard. It is, who is your newest favorite character? I'm cheating a little bit because I've not quite finished this book yet, but it's definitely gonna be Shuya from Battle Royale. I love Shuya's heart, I love his soul. He is so brave and kind, and in the midst of all of this violence and gore going on in this book, he is just a beacon of hope. Love Shuya. I'm hesitant in saying what this book is about because I've explained it in like my last 5 videos because I've been reading this book forever. I'm on page 245 for anyone who wanted a reading update. This is a dystopian novel set in Japan where the government has this program each year where one 9th grade class is taken to an isolated setting and forced to battle each other to the death. There can only be one winner. It's kind of similar to The Hunger Games. This was published first, but yeah, I'm really enjoying it so far. And not only is Shuya my new favorite character, but this might be my new favorite book of all time. I'm not sure yet, don't quote me, but I've said it in a few other videos, so I guess you can quote me. It's really good. The next question is a book that made you cry. I already talked about Beartown, but I bawled my eyes out at the end of that book like never before. I did cry that much with A Little Life, but besides A Little Life, I've never cried so much reading a book. But I want to give you another one since I already talked about Beartown. So I actually just hauled and finished The Light We Lost by Jill Santopolo. I was not expecting to pick this up and fly through it as fast as I did. I attribute that completely to how short these chapters were and how readable and accessible this book was. This is about these two people who fall in love around college age, and then for whatever reason, they just continue to not work out, but they just continuously pop up in each other's lives for a while. And I had some suspicions that this wasn't going to end well, and I'm not saying whether it does or it doesn't, but yeah, this one ripped my heart out. I didn't bawl, but I shed some tears reading this one. The next question is, what is a book that made you happy? I don't read a lot of happy books. I mostly read hard-hitting literary fiction or thrillers, horror, things like that. But 2 books came to mind, so I'm gonna mention both of them. The first one is The Night the Lights Went Out by Karen White. This was a thriller that was really frustrating, but it made me happy because it was so refreshing. There is a sweet friendship in this book between a middle-aged woman who is going through a divorce and kind of transitioning into being a single mom, and her landlord, who she's newly renting from, is an older woman who is really tough on the outside, but then they strike up this friendship. Oh, and it is just so sweet. It really made my heart happy, and I really am looking forward to reading more Karen White in the future. And the other one I'm thinking of is so far outside of anything I usually read, but I loved it. It's the Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society. If that title doesn't make you smile, then the book might not make you smile, because that's kind of the sweetest part of the book. But this is sad. It's World War II era historical fiction, but despite all of the sadness and horror of that time, these people come together and make this book club, and it is so soft. There's a really cute slow romance, or I don't even want to call it a romance, just kind of like tension building between these two characters on the front here, Juliet and Dawsey. But this is told completely in letters. It was really readable, and it did make me smile a lot. And finally, we've made it to the last question, which is simply, what are the books you need to read by the end of the year? So we're gonna go on a little field trip for this one. First, we have my currently reading basket, which is kind of a mess. I don't know why I read this many books at one time, but I certainly do. The Goldfinch and The Great Alone have been long-term projects for me. I just read a little bit at a time and then put them down for longer periods of time. Get a Life Chloe Brown I'm really excited about. It has such a cute start and it is very well written so far. The Silent History I've been reading for about 4 years, so just ignore that one. Normal People by Sally Rooney has potential to be a new all-time favorite for me. I love slice of life fiction like this. I think it's gonna be a new all-time favorite. And then I'm exposing myself. I thought that I read Gone Girl. Y'all ever do that? You ever think you read a book? But I never finished it. I started it in college and I thought that I'd read the whole thing, but then I was trying to think about it one day and realized that I hadn't read it. Anyway, moving on. Hello. Okay, so the books that I have on this bookcase are all of my read books except for this last shelf down here. This is where I keep my most anticipated reads. So these are the books that I really want to get to by the end of the year. You can't even see, but starting over here, we have American Kingpin, The Simple Wild by Kay Tucker. If you've watched any of my recent book hauls, I've talked about most of these books. But, yeah, I would say from these, I really want to get to Ask Again, Yes, and then The Right Swipe and The Honeymooners by Christina Lauren. You Deserve Each Other looks like a cute romance. And Into the Drowning Deep, which I talk about in like every video ever, but that's okay. Yeah, I would say that these are my most highly anticipated. We'll throw those in there too. The Last Time I Lied, which I mentioned, and Neverworld Wake by Marisha Pessl. Yikes. So that was my mid-year freakout tag. I'm so excited that I filmed it. Now on a very serious note, please, if you have not already, look at these resources. Please don't forget to check out the resources in my description box. Thank you again for watching. I'll see y'all in my next video.